You are a Sabrina Carpenter.
I'm just going to face this one.
Look-alike.
Oh,
It just fell.
There she is.
too confusing.
Please put that in. Please put that in.
I'm just going to tell my kids that you're Sabrina Carpenter. They will
They don't know who Sabrina Carpenter
Hook,
is.
line and sinker. They do. They love her.
Welcome to The Vault with Financielle. This is a safe space where we talk all things life and money and no topics are off limits. Happy episode 26.
Oh my gosh.
Lucky 26.
I can't keep being surprised that we do it every week.
I know.
Like, oh my
It's like,
God.
I've still got a job. I'm still here.
How are we going to celebrate for like big milestones?
What's the big
We've not done our milestone
milestone
celebration yet. Maybe food after here. We're all like, food's our love language,
What about,
the four
like,
of us.
for the pod?
Oh.
What do you mean?
Like,
Like,
are we
what's the
gonna
celebration?
Special outfits.
have a little
Definitely.
cake?
Cake,
We
badges.
can't be balloon wankers. Have you seen that on?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think we should.
No balloon wankers allowed.
But for like, 30,
When
sorry,
people
30,
hit
20.
10k on Instagram, woo, 100k, woo. I've seen so many people try to get to the 10k and they tell the followers, and then people just start unfollowing.
Yeah, and it's like, no, I died.
I saw someone do it that hit 1 million, and then I went back on their YouTube channel the other day, and they were like 9,900, whatever it is, 997.
9,000 or 900. I was
900,000.
like, did they lose like 900?
Yeah, so people just went, not letting you get to that milestone.
Haters. We will
What?
never say.
People
No.
are asking us for longer ones. That
Please
these are a
vote.
bit short.
Would you like longer podcasts?
We could look at longer and we could look at more. So now we do one a week. Could we do more?
Do you want more? Tell us.
We
I mean, you do,
more.
but tell us louder.
Yeah, and like if there's anything that you think would be good to cover, or again keep the dilemmas coming because we get a lot. We're going to think about how else we can answer them when they can't all make the pod because there's so many now, and we want to be able to. They're so good that it's really helpful to workshop it with many. So whether that's in the community more, whether it's TikTok, we'll share with you. But we're getting that many. But some of them are a bit repeatable that we'll make sure we answer them all, but we want you all to be involved in answering them. So watch this space.
Okay, I've got a controversial opinion. And I think it will be. Maybe. Let's see. Couples should always combine finances.
What are you all thinking when you hear Lucy say that? What are you all thinking?
And when I say couple, I'm thinking minimum 3-4 years into the relationship.
Oh, okay. Extra context.
But you don't have to be married.
So we lived in a household whereby we went there before our parents got married. So I don't know what they did prior to that, but all we've known is our parents having joint finances, and it worked really well for them because I never, ever heard my parents argue about money. I never heard, I'm going to be a bit stereotypical because these are the types of dilemmas that we get into the pod. My dad criticised my mum in any way for buying school shoes, paying for school trips, booking holidays, like any of the types of dilemmas that we get in where people feel like they're getting kickback for managing a budget at home and the other person's not quite on board. I never heard an argument about money. And therefore, me and my partner followed the same thing whereby we have had joint finances for as long as I can remember. And we don't argue about money either. So there's never any of that one, and you're going to come in with your one-upmanship stuff with Alex, whereby he buys a pair of trainers and then Lucy's like, well, I've got to buy a pair of trainers now. There is never anything like that because it's our money. It's never your money and my money in a central pot for bills. We literally put everything in the top because we've got 2 joint children together. The life admin, dear God, it's hard enough anyway. I can't imagine what it would be like if it was, I bought you dinner the other day, so can you transfer me that money on top of everything else that you've got when you start to build out a family?
The added layer of privilege on that is a mum and dad that stayed together, a mum and dad, like it was a safe space. Earnings, from what we know now, they eventually both like worked their way up the career ladders. Early days, like they weren't big earners. Like it wasn't like, oh, there was loads going around. It was they did this both from working class homes, like really struggled in childhood, slowly built up like financial stability. But yeah, massive level of privilege on that there was no financial coercion, there was no financial control.
Or someone didn't have an addiction whereby if money came into the family account, that person would go and spend it on either
Yeah.
alcohol or gambling or shopping.
Yeah. And so
that's a very neutral place to be and easy for us to say.
Yeah, it helps to give context as how we can answer that, because I think there is that spectrum of trust but also slowly catch your monkey. So, I met my partner later and we combined finances. We had a child before marriage, so we combined finances before then. But also we then started to save for a house together as well. So it was a joint account. When was it a joint account? Maybe when we started to buy the house or save for the house.
When you had a joint goal.
So we then went and we were living together renting. So joint savings account and joint current account. And we went there. And actually we both kept bank accounts that had little bits of money and we both had savings and stuff. But we were both so focused on our joint goal, which was saving for the home. We both had emergency fund money. So we combined that. So again, really privileged. But the big problem with combining finances, you can't predict the future. But if you kind of know in your gut if you want extra protection, extra savings, and also just independence. And I find lots of people are finding a great balance between, I have my money, you have your money. Let's do the household budget together. Let's make sure that we do. Yeah, let's make sure we do the household budget together. And this is where we come from. What contribution do you put in? I think couples, especially 3 years plus, should always combine their budgeting. I'm not as precious about them actually combining accounts because there's so many variables. And the big thing here is the more savings going around, the better. Like if you've got your savings and I've got my savings and we've both got our F-off money, then that F-off money is also our collective F-off money. And so if you get to a point where you've combined finances and you've got joint savings and stuff, and then the relationship breaks down, as long as there's not a worry that one would run off with money and steal money, because that's the problem. You've got a joint account, someone could clear it out, and that's literally, there's nothing the bank will do, nothing will happen usually for that, because it's kind of a joint account. So if you don't have those vibes and you don't have that ick, or you don't think that someone could do that, then having joint stuff is great and it's wonderful. As Holly said, I just like the idea of actually you also have stuff in your own name. And quite frankly, the more financially well you get, the more savings pots you need, because you want to be able to get all these good interest rates, and you might have $5,000 in your name, $2,000 in the other's name. Like that's a goals place to be anyway. And if stuff breaks down, you've both got access to kind of finance. What do you think?
What do you and Alex do?
I think we do like percentage.
Mm-hmm.
That works for us. We're obviously not married. I think we've been together 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you
check.
So you budget the house together?
Yeah, so we do a combined budget
for the house, not for everything in your life.
So like all bills, expenses, like food shops and stuff, like maybe like date pots, all stuff like that. Everything that we spend together, that would be like based on a percentage split.
And then hair appointment or new shoes.
That's all mine, and like that's all his. Whatever we want. I can say, I think the budgeting together is the important thing. Yeah. And like starting 100%. That and getting that as a habit early on. But yeah, I think it would cause arguments right now if we were fully combined.
You did join everything. Yeah, and it's like each to their own. There's no right or wrong. So yes, it's a controversial opinion potentially, but it is an each to their own situation.
It's a great relationship therapy process to start. When you start to, oh my God, it's a bit like Naked Attraction. Let
me see your current account.
What you've got. And it's like, it is an interesting, there's so many people are so defensive of, if I want to go get coffees, I don't want him to know that I'm getting coffees. That's my business. And I get it, I do. But there's also something quite freeing about sharing that and sharing that you like to go get coffees. And if you're getting too many coffees, you probably know you are. Yeah. Do you know, like it's
a conversation to be had.
The day my mum and dad went like digital bank was the day that my dad has massive regrets, because he always says to me like,
when notifications happen, because it's the notification pop-ups with the neobank versus the older banks didn't used to do
emoji.
it. But they do now, but they didn't. So that's what you mean, isn't it?
Yeah. So you'd say like Greg's. He's like, oh, she knows I've been to Greg's again. Like, do you need another sausage roll?
Just a little snitch in your pocket.
Yeah, but there was a time when they all do it now, but the traditional banks didn't, and the Starling did, and
it would just be like a company number.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't know
what's that? Don't know.
It was post office.
Now it's Greg's, McDonald's,
Greg's.
pub. Can't hide.
But the big thing that we see the shift when there's a relationship where you are completely committed to each other. You've been there a long time. You kind of married in the sense of the world, like you're sharing lots of responsibilities, for example, and maternity leave happens or a job loss happened. And so if your partner had a job loss, Lucy, but you were kind of cracking on in the same way that you combine the household budgeting, personal money is our own, he could be sat there going, I can't contribute to the main pot. And by the way, you're going having a Gales and a nice hairdo. And like, I'm struggling or we want to go on holiday together. And he's like, I can't. You can understand how so that's the job loss or a health issue. Flip side is like maternity. So if you were to have children, this is where we see the lack of combined finances really holding like the woman back or the man if they're having extra parental leave, because suddenly the wage drops and the other person's still getting their disposable income. And I've put my part into the pot, but I can go have tennis lessons or, do an online order. And so when you get to these like really big life stages, even if you don't want to fully combine all bank accounts and have it all sloshing around together, be mindful of those moments when there's an imbalance, because again, this is a relationship opportunity. How can we navigate this moment? How can we help the other person out? It's such a loving thing to do. And it's very like empowering for the person that can help out more than the other one. And I don't know, I like it.
Yeah, I like it. I think it is different for every situation. Mm-hmm. Okay. I've always been the executive sponsor for my friends. That's the sad name my late husband used to call me. I used to take my friends shopping in New York, using my husband's points that had to be used by a certain date, spending loads of money on clothes, flights, food, drinks, you name it. I was the bank, always lending money that never got repaid. After my husband's tragic death 8 years ago, my so-called friends vanished quickly. However, new ones came, leeching off my continued generosity because I still had plenty of money. For a while, I kept up the habit, thinking I was helping or maintaining friendships. But then I had enough. I realised it was all one way and worth nothing. I decided to change. I cut off the leeches, became super careful with friends, strict with expenses, and I stopped lending money and giving things for free. My peace of mind is great now because I know where I stand. But here's my dilemma. Was I wrong to cut off these friends and change my ways so drastically? How do I find a balance in between being generous and protecting myself from being taken advantage of?
This is a really difficult one. Oh, that's a sad name, isn't it? That her late husband even identified there was a problem here, and he spotted early doors that she was being taken advantage of effectively by her so-called friends. And I say so-called because that's not a friendship to me. I don't care if you pay for me to go somewhere, pay for me for dinner. Loyalty and friendship. Yeah, friendship's about friendship. And it was telling that when her husband died, those people went away. Like, that's a perfect, yes. Your friends are stood by you no matter what, no matter your financial situation, no matter what's going on in your life. So I think she's answered her own question in that she was right to cut those people off because they obviously didn't stick around when she absolutely needed them. But yeah, it's a tough one.
We all kind of find, especially if we're going through something like that, or a period of low self-esteem, period of like neediness maybe, like we find our role. I see it a little bit in some of like my daughter's friends on their rugby teams. There's a couple of girls that spring to mind where they have been through a lot in home life, and they, naughty at school, detentions, getting in trouble, can be aggressive verbally. They're not really aggressive physically. It's rugby, so you're going to be a bit aggressive, but not out of order, just. And the two in particular, and I feel like they think it's their role to be the naughty one, to be the cheeky one, to be like, that's the role I play in the friendship group. That's the role I play in the cast, and I'm accepted as that, and people know me as that. And if I'm going a bit on a tangent here, because what I feel like is, if I'm not that, who am I? And I think that when you are in a place of low self-esteem or of neediness, your identity is really important. And if that's you could have even been playing up to that if that was your role. So if your role was, I provide for my friends, I treat us all, like, it's, you know, I can afford it, you know, some of these friends have obviously, they might not have intentionally taken advantage initially, but it's kind of the routine. It's really sad that suddenly I think she's woke up and gone, hang on, was that my role? Am I the provider? And I'm proud of her for going, there's more to me than that. Like, it's hard because she obviously gets a joy in
of being generous.
Yeah. Some people do. You have people in friendship groups that a friend springs to mind, and if she's watching and I'm calling her out, like, she will always be the, I'll buy the drink for everyone and I'll do this and I'll do that. And sometimes, you know, she's not like, it doesn't serve her that well in a financial well-being sense of view. And Laura challenged her on it the other day, and she was like, come on now. And she was like, I know, but she's the happiest.
I don't know who this is. So
I feel like she'll know I'm talking about her. Yeah. But yeah, she, and you just want to say, like, you're more than that point. You're more than that to us. Like, you don't need to be the, I'll buy it, I'll do it, I'll host you. Like, she's the best host, but I feel like it will impact her financial well-being for sure, because she's just so generous, and that's her personality. She's just so happy-go-lucky and wants to look after everybody. But it can kind of backfire for you personally.
It's something that we all have to be mindful of, because recognize your own value in your friendship groups. And I said I would counter her to say, did she take on the role so much that it could wear her friends' leeches? Like, we've talked about this before, like the leech concept. And
she might have overcome. Sometimes it's a sense of like little self-worth, isn't it? Where you're like, I'm going to do it because you just want to get in there. Yeah. Like, you'll get a little buzz and dopamine hit from treating your friends. And then you've created that character. They've not necessarily put you on a pedestal and gone, so obviously you're paying.
Got expectations of
if you start the friendship with, I'm going to buy this, of course people are just going to settle in for the ride.
And also, you know, if you want to go to New York and you have points and or money and whatever, and your friends can't afford it,
but you want them to be
you're like,
there.
right, come on, I'm paying because I want to go. But it's about picking your friends wisely and making sure that you're happy in yourself, that you're worth more than that. Because the thing with, she talks about being like a money lender. No. You should never. And like, I talk about, like, if you're in a position of strength financially and if a friend or family member is struggling, and if you want to give money as a one-off, like, you give money. Because
but not a bank. You're
not a bank, so you can't give more than once. No, you're not an ATM. You can't give more than once. And you also you shouldn't lend, because it's just this really weird thing with friends and family when you lend money. Really weird. It's, especially if it's more than a one-off, because then you're seen as an ATM. And I can't imagine that feels nice.
Yeah, definitely not. Okay, this is a community win. I switched my bank account earlier this week as there was a switching offer, giving £170 cash for switching my bank account. It says it would be paid within 10 days of switching, and I received it earlier today. Went straight on overpaying my loan to clear it, using the bank's money against them.
Ooh, weaponising.
They're scared of you.
I got one too. Can I just say, I've got a little win. I did a current account. Yeah, I did.
You finally did one.
I did one.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've only had this business God knows how many years. Holly's done a bank switch.
And my husband did one as well.
You doubled up. So that's, I mean, I can't do that, but what did you get?
175 times 2. I'll leave that to you.
150.
Under pressure.
250?
Around about.
I mean, Lucy.
Yeah, this is a touchy subject.
Lucy, what happened with your bank switch?
Well, I didn't read the blog post close enough clearly in the app. I went to do, which one was it? First Direct, same one that you did.
Sorry.
And I didn't realise I had to set up 2 direct debits to switch over. And I just switched a random bank account that I had from a last switch with nothing in it. It had a penny in it so that I knew when it was closed.
I've got a little tip for... Wait, so it didn't work, did it? Sorry, I've just interrupted you.
No, it didn't work. But if you're going to say about direct debits, I wouldn't know what to do anyway.
So I've got a tip, and maybe we'll turn it into a financial product, but I've done it before where I set up some charity direct debits that you can kind of use and this sounds really anti-charity, but we give to charity anyway. I've got a giving amount. So I just wanted some small direct debits to be able to use that wasn't kind of key direct debits, because what I didn't want was those moving around the place, because the ADHD in my life just would not cope with where the hell is what's coming out from where. My budget's nice and slick. And so I set up a couple of charity direct debits. But I wanted to cancel them because they weren't meaningful enough. And like I said, I gave to charity separately, and it was so hard to cancel. And I cancelled one too early and nearly didn't qualify for the thing. And it was messing around. And suddenly I was like, what if I just did a £1 direct debit to Financielle? So I set up a direct debit from my bank account to our company bank account for £1. So we've made £1. I think there's a bit of a
Can you do 2 separate transactions?
So I did 2 direct debits. Yeah. So
I'll do that next time then.
So in my next
to work here.
in my next switch, but I feel like we could probably offer this as a service, which is like we make nothing on it by the time we've paid the transfer fee, transaction fee. Financialle's not making any money on that. But I was like, I'd rather I'm in control of that more easily. I'll cancel it anytime. 2 £1 direct debits to Financielle, boom. And so on my next bank transfer, I think it needs 2 for me, 2 for my husband, and I need to do it before the end of July because I read the blog. So I'm going to do it again. So if
was
anyone...
that a dig? Because I read the blog.
Because I read the blog.
I read the blog correctly.
So I need to reread the blog because I don't know the terms. And I think I'm going to do it again. So if you want me to set up a scrappy webpage where you can set up a Financielle direct debit, donate to the cause £1. If it helps you out, it certainly helped me out. Because
maybe we'll give it back as like a prize fund.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
We could do that. Like, it's literally just to help you. It's to help our community. It doesn't make any money.
Premium bonds, but fun and
once a month we can give the pot to one of the people that use
totally
it.
do that. Right.
Yeah, we've not got enough to do, so we'll just have a go at that. But yeah, tip.
Yeah, we're not busy enough. Let's give ourselves another job.
Okay. Oh, if you'd like to tell us your win, head to the community in the app or email it to thevault@financielle.com. Ready for the next dilemma? Okay. Ready for the next dilemma? Okay.
Yeah, talking to yourself.
Are you ready, Lucy? Yeah, I am.
Yes, I am. Here I go.
We're going in.
Do you know what this is like? Do you remember in school and you'd be in English class or something and it would be like, you're reading page 1, you're reading page 2, and it's like, I'm going to be on page 3. Like, let me.
You read ahead.
Let me make sure I'm fine. Every podcast.
Or I'd be staring out the window and they'd be like, come on. Sorry.
The pressure. Okay. 90k debt and my husband has run out of money. Please help. Last week, my husband came to me to confess he had ran out of money and was unable to make his debt payments days after he'd been paid. He had taken this debt out without my knowledge of around 11k, mostly on high interest payday loans. With this new additional debt, we are now in a total consumer debt of 90k. And this last unknown batch of debt has taken us from keeping our head above the water to leaving us with £100 excess for the whole month after bills, food and petrol. This has become the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. The debt consists of mostly loans and around 10k in credit cards. We have a combined household salary of 110k and no savings. We cannot move any credit cards to zero interest or consolidate, as we have done this several times and racked up the spending back on the credit again. We have stripped the budget of all unnecessary expenses, subscriptions, beauty treatments, etc., no social activities. We clearly have a significant spending problem. With that in mind, how do we change our destructive patterns? We already have a couple of sinking funds, but with so little to spare, should we throw it all at our debt or tackle our loans first so we cannot add to the credit cards? I have spoken to debt management charities and there are no other options available to us, as we don't want to pursue a debt management plan or similar, as this would affect our mortgage when the fix ends. Disclaimer, please do not blame my husband. This has simply been the tipping point for what has been poor financial decisions and spending for most of our 20s on both of our parts. Sorry for the chaotic message, and I love, love, love the podcast.
I love that you don't want to blame your husband.
Yeah.
I know, because I was about to go in on it. I wasn't really. Because there's obviously a significant spending problem there, and that's just not because someone can't be bothered to
it's just
take
the
control.
Habit. Like, debt has been the norm, clearly.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need that one thing that makes you go, enough. Like, we cannot keep lying to ourselves. We cannot keep kidding ourselves. And like healthy household income, this is evidence, everyone. Like, it is not necessarily just the low earners that are trying factors. Sometimes the more that you're aware of what you've got, the better you manage it. It is so easy to increase spending. This is one where I'm like, I wish they could come in and give me the budget. I want the budget. I want to go line by line.
We've got her details. We'll do a little bit of budget therapy with her, maybe.
Definitely.
We can do that.
Yeah, because, and I credit to them for not wanting to go the formal route. So they've obviously spoken to debt charities. That's a really good tip. Speak to them, because you have more than just the vault, and you'll get immediate, advice, and you'll also be able to have it personal to your actual situation. And but be mindful that debt charities have been, accused is the wrong word, but sometimes they're very quick to jump to a formal solution, a formal arrangement, and it's not an easy way out. It impacts your credit and your life for a long time, actually, so that's really for when the math is literally so tough. And so you say you've got 100 excess. I definitely feel like you need to do sinking funds in the budget from the off. The reason is, and I mean like necessary sinking funds, not like we'd like a nice Christmas, we go on holiday every year, and at the moment I would be honestly saying you don't go on holiday. Like, this is not a holiday family, not for a couple of years, because you have to create this is about creating momentum, isn't it? And you've got to get the first shove. So you do need sinking funds in your budget for things that are going to come up,
like car insurances,
home,
anything that helps you live your life. Minimum
Christmas, because you are going to spend, so let's not pretend. What I would say though is, and I spoke to someone a couple of weeks ago about this, your emergency fund can be like a car maintenance emergency fund. So like, you're going to have an MOT, you should save for that. That's not an emergency, it's coming. You don't know if you're going to need new tires or not. And so for a period of time, to scrape together like a 1 month's expenses emergency fund being the focus, you can really dial back on those, I call them safety sinking funds. So we have a house and garden fund, but and if something went wrong with the house, like if we had a leak, we would probably use the house fund for it rather than our emergency fund. But that's a luxury. So we don't need that house and garden fund. And quite frankly, we don't need the house lot like mowing, and we don't need the fence repainting. That's all luxuries. So it's about picking these sinking funds that are for the car insurance is going to come up, and actually I can get it cheaper if I pay for it in full. So I'm going to put a little bit away. Car service, MOT, Christmas, birthdays, but we're talking like non-bougie birthdays. If you can get those sinking funds in your budget, but as small as possible, and still have a little bit of an excess, you've had a win. But you need a little bit of excess to create that little bit of shove to get the wheel moving.
Momentum, yeah, for sure. Because £100 excess is not much momentum at all. You're not really going to be making a dent in anything, but their annual salaries aren't to be sniffed at either. Like, there should be more momentum in that, but because the debt's so high, and imagine the loans and the interest rates and all that kind of stuff, it starts to become a little bit overwhelming.
100% do the money MOT, because I would challenge you that you might have cancelled this, that and the other. But again, a bit of budget therapy. Like, if we were sat next to you, could you justify every single item?
Oh, we would be so challenging, because someone would be like, so we've done it before where someone spends double on things and they don't realise. And we're like, but you've already got this other thing. Like, yeah, but you're like, no.
Or like, there's a meal prep service in there, or there's a gym, but it's really important that I'm being fit. And
we're like, we get it.
Yeah, we get it. And you could put that back in, but that sometimes you need a 6-month lean in. And the other thing is, income helps you right now. So I know you've got a really good income, but if one or both of you can drive Uber, do Deliveroo, take on extra proper work, not like your survey stuff, like take on a part-time job, again, for a period of time, and that was put solely on debt, you would see an impact immediately.
Make a dent.
Yeah, you can. So this is not going to be easy. This is about both of you realising that, agreeing we have to change our lives. Because what kind of life are we going to live?
So they've said, do they tackle the loans first or the credit cards? Because if they do the credit cards first, they're just going to rack that back up.
Well, then don't tackle anything if you're just going to rack it back up. Like, I'm going to be harsh. This is killing you with kindness here. You have to decide you're never going to use debt again. Those cards should be cut up. They shouldn't exist.
Go in the financial community and see the people that have cut the cards up, because that's someone that is hell-bent on never using credit again. The fact that she's already planning to... The language is, we're definitely going to use it again. No, this is a lifestyle change now. You now have a new way. You will create new habits. You have a methodology that you can stick to. You don't need to go back into debt. You actually don't.
You can do it. So I know what she means, because she's already said they won't get approved for 0%, which is what she's mentally thinking is, if I pay off the cards, I'm not eligible for a loan. I'm not eligible for a new card because I'm maxed out. So I'll just rack them back up again. I mean, I feel like if she's got so many, I would look at the avalanche method for this debt payoff. There's 2 ways to pay off debt. There's the debt snowball, which is where you list your debts smallest to largest, and you tackle the smallest first. And a Harvard Business School study showed that this way is more successful than avalanche, because avalanche is about maths. Avalanche method is about tackling debts in order of interest rates. So we usually recommend the snowball because Harvard says so, and we do what Harvard says. We'll follow the brains, and we've personally both used snowball method.
Very addictive because you get momentum straight away. Like you get the quick wins, so you just stay committed to it.
But in this case, like where there's lots of higher interest rates, like if not all of us have been in situations where we've got cards which could be at a 28, 29% APR, it's worth looking at those and doing a bit of the maths, because you may find that tackling the loans if they're higher interest rate, or the cards, is whichever order you think you feel excited about. And if that's loan first, great. But those cards should be cut up. You should not have them connected to your phone. You should not be able to buy anything with them. And if you're not going to do that, not that we can't help you, but this isn't going to work. The whole plan's not going to work because you're never going to do it. Like, you have to get to a point where you hate that consumer debt so much that it could impact your marriage, it could impact your family. And you're going, I'm done. And if you decide that, like, you've got so many other people in this community that are like, yay, us too. Like, we did it and we were there and we thought we couldn't. She doesn't talk about emergency fund, does she?
No, I don't think so.
They've got no savings, she says. Because she's going to hate this even more, but she needs to do the emergency fund first.
Because you're just going to go into debt.
She's just going to go into debt because you'll get the budget wrong. Like,
and there will be an emergency. Like, there is. Define emergency. New washing machine needed. School shoes needed. Emergency flights to see family if something
budgeting
happened.
wrong and you need food. That's like it's a human
happen.
thing. So the worst thing about this is I'm going to tell them to build the emergency fund first, which increases the debt. But that's a way where suddenly, like, selling things around the house, you
get scrappy.
Absolutely. Oh my God, you go to war.
You get a bit feral. I'm going to sell it all. Get off that sofa. I've sold it 3 hours ago. The man's coming now. He's coming now.
Get on the camping chairs.
My favourite thing is sending my husband for Facebook Marketplace. If I've sold something, I'm not going to the door.
You are hiding upstairs.
We did that last week.
I'm not talking to the person.
I've got a weight set. I was like, oh, Alex, can't lift that all downstairs, can I?
I couldn't possibly. Girl power.
And then I'm going out, bye. Someone might call at this time.
I've never met face-to-face a Facebook Marketplace person, but my husband has met plenty.
I actually did it for the first time the other day. I gave someone a Wii.
Sorry?
A Nintendo Wii?
Yeah.
For money? For money?
No,
for free.
I just needed it. God, I don't know why we had it.
Bowling.
Don't know why I had it at all.
Wii?
And
bowling
then
in
the
your bedroom.
guy has since messaged me being like, do you have the sensor? I was like, no.
What's the sensor? Oh, yeah.
So it's for the actual...
it's
okay, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you didn't.
So you give him a piece
I'm glad you didn't charge him money.
You give him a piece of plastic.
I was like, do you want this whole thing?
Apart from the sensor.
Yeah.
So you can't play the games.
I can see how that would get lost, actually. They're only little.
Is it like the long thing?
Yeah, but it's how the thing works. It doesn't work without it.
I think I've got one in my cupboard. I'll send it to him.
Okay.
I'm not giving it him though. You have to.
But there's this is about small milestones. And if, firstly, send us your budget. We will love to go through it with you. And I think if you even looked at it yourself and pretended that you were sat on this sofa, we would be cruel to be kind big sisters. And we would be like, nope, you can do this again for a period of time. Second is, can you bring in any extra money? One of you, both of you, can you get part-time jobs? Can you drive Uber? Can you do delivery? Period of time, you could make 500 quid, £1,000 in a month. That's building up that emergency fund. And once you've got that, you start tackling this debt and cut them up. You can do it. Send the picture.
We want a picture.
Send it to me. I'll do it.
Blend them. No, don't blend them.
Blend.
Sell the blender.
She can't Facebook Marketplace a blender that she's never used now.
Imagine.
We've all got one of them.
Don't do that. It's probably a health and safety issue.
We are not giving health and safety advice.
Okay. Any final words?
Don't blend your cards.
But cut them up and cut them from your phone, because they're on that wallet. I know, and it's so easy and it's scary. But do it and build that emergency fund, and I promise. And then message us when you've done it, and then we'll give you your next piece of homework.
On to the next. That's all for this episode. The Vault is now closed. Just a quick disclaimer, The Vault is just a chat around life and money topics, and we are not giving financial advice.